Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot. I hope that you're all well. Thank you for being here. I'm very grateful to all my subscribers and particularly everybody that communicates with me and, you know, gives me a thumbs up or leaves me a comment or subscribes to help me grow my channel. That's fantastic. But anyway, just in the last few days, I recorded VR, the hashtag Living in Tarot. And I just thought while I was doing it, you know, looking at my decks that I would like to live in, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have a look at some of the decks that I really wouldn't want to live in for various reasons. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to keep it under the hashtag Living in Tarot, and I think it's My Tarot Homes or something like that. But this is decks that I don't want to live in. So I think I've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 decks, actually. So the first one is this little pocket-sized Nicoletta, I can't ever pronounce her name, Koli. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's shocking, isn't it? It's a little low Scarabeo deck. And you all know this deck. Let's put it down so you can have a good look at the cards. It's quite a good deck to read with, this deck. It's in order at the moment. But I have read with this deck for myself. And it is actually surprisingly intuitive to read with for yourself. But is this a world I would want to live in? No. I find these faces. Oh look, this is shocking, isn't it? Let me put that up a little bit and then I can get 2 rows properly. Do you know, I watch other people and they have these perfectly set out little areas on their table that they record, and it all looks so neat and tidy, and oh dear, I start recording and then I think about what I should have done. So yeah, just look at them, look at their faces, look at the monkey. I mean, that's like something out of a horror film. I don't like their faces. They really they're things that I think you'd find in a bad dream, if I'm honest. I really don't like them. This is really not a world I would want to be in. I mean, look at the devil there. That's just horrible. I find them really quite spooky. Their faces are kind of often expressionless, aren't they? And you know, like trapped in a snow globe there. And she looks like she's got an armful of dolls that she's about to pull the head off. I don't know. I don't see anything. There is nothing about this world that I would want to be part of. I don't think. I just find it creepy. I find it's their faces, it's the expressions on their faces. It's that they don't smile. It's not necessarily that there's all sorts of weird things going on in these cards. It's just, I think it's their faces. I think they're blank expressions. And the fact that they just don't smile. Like I said, they look like if they had dolls, they'd be pulling the heads off them. Nobody's having any fun in this deck, are they? They all look like they're hiding something, or... Yeah. Look at that one. Like I said, I'm not dismissing this deck at all, because in many ways it's a good deck for reading. It's a surprisingly good deck for reading, but as a world I'd want to live in, no. So there's that one. The second deck to show you is the Pinter tarot deck, and I only bought this recently. I have not read with it as yet. I have had a look through the guidebook and I've had a good sort of flick through this deck. And I don't really know why I bought it, if I'm honest. I think I saw it on somebody's channel and just thought it looked really interesting. And it is an interesting deck. I think that I could read with this deck. I don't see any reason why not. But I kind of haven't chosen to yet because it's... and I know it's just sort of, it's not dark, is it? But it's got a miserable feel about it. I don't really know what the word is. I mean, look at his face. The King of Cups. He's not a King of Cups I would like to meet. This all looks quite oppressive. This Three of Pentacles here, which the Three of Pentacles shouldn't. These people should be working together, but I don't know. She's not so bad. But yeah, I mean, what's going on there with the Ten of Cups? I suppose I can't see myself in a world like this, is what I'm trying to say, really. It doesn't feel like it would have anything to offer me. It looks kind of a cold and strange place to live. I mean, the Six of Cups, even the Three of Cups, this that should have a really cheerful feel about it, it's not, is it? Like, she's going towards the carriage with the man. There's three women standing there. I don't know. Maybe I ought to do some readings with this card, with this deck, and kind of see how it feels to me then. Look, even the Sun card. You'd be hard pushed to see this as like warmth and pleasure and joy and happiness and good things, good feelings, good vibes. This looks like something nightmarish, doesn't it? The Ace of Cups. There's a lot of bare bums in this deck, isn't there? There's actually quite a bit of nudity, which I'm not adverse to nudity. It's not that bothers me. It just doesn't look like any kind of world that I would actually be happy in. What's going on there in the Six of Pentacles? She's giving him this watch, but it doesn't feel happy, does it? It doesn't feel like... it's almost like he's being forced to have the watch. I don't know, it's weird. What do you think of this deck? These are quite nice actually with the colours here. I like all of the greens in the 9 and 10 of Pentacles. That's probably the nicest card I've seen so far in this deck. But yeah, Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. See, look, he just looks very mean. I don't think I've been able to come up with the right word that I want to use to describe this deck. it just has a sort of, what, I can't think of, oh. It's just this, there's like this set of various situations going on, and nobody's having any fun, nobody's enjoying themselves, there's no good relationships here. If, you know, there's, oh, look at that one, look, the Three of Swords. Yeah. This is a deck, that's what I want to say. This is a deck of depression for me. I think that's what I want to say. It's like this whole world here is depressed. That's how it feels to me. There's just more and more of these difficult cards. Look at the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords. I mean, I know they're difficult cards anyway, but these are just, oh, it's depressive, isn't it? Look, the Ten of Swords. Wow. As you can see, this is definitely not a deck. The Queen of Swords, is she crying there? Blimey. No, it's just full of absurdity and depression for me, that deck, I think. I think that's what I want to say. Absurdity and depression. That's not a world for me, no. I'm going to have a go at reading with that deck, otherwise I may have to rehome it, because, you know, I have plenty of decks that I don't read with, but I really enjoy looking at the imagery on, but I don't even really enjoy that, so yeah. So the next deck that I've got here is the Barbara Walker Tarot. This is a little tin version of it, and this deck is a fantastic reader. I have done readings for other people with this deck, and it's brilliant. It really is. It's actually really intuitive, really good to read with, particularly if people are having problems in life. It's really good for sort of getting to the bottom of those. It's a good deck for shadow work. But the imagery, I mean, would you want to be this person here in the Six of Cups? That's not very nice, is it? It's a harsh deck, this deck, I think. It pulls no punches. It doesn't feel like this is a kind or healthy place to be living. Look at the Five of Wands. It's quite a spooky deck. There are a lot of images in this that, you know, you could kind of make a film out of this deck, I think, if you put all of the images together. You know, look at the Nine of Swords there with cruelty. And, you know, the Nine of Swords is a really difficult card, but, I mean, that's horrific, isn't it? She's clutching this tree here that is also looking like it's going to get her, and everyone around her has got crosses and swords and... ugh. Horrible. Look at this one. Wow. Like I said, the fact that I don't like the imagery in this card takes nothing away from the fact that it's a great deck for reading, for shadow work. But for a world that you would want to live in, no. I mean, you get the odd card that's quite nice. I mean, you wouldn't mind being Temperance there, living there with the grass and the water and the blue skies, but you don't get many of those cards in this deck. There are all sorts of creatures, all sorts of sort of demons. Decline, the Four of Cups. Doom for the Ace of Swords. I mean, you know, it's really not doom, is it? Or it shouldn't be. Defeat, look, the Five of Swords. I know that these are difficult energies, but these are not faces that I want to look at. These are not situations that I want to be in. The Nine of Pentacles is nice. But, yeah. As you can see, I'm not sure that any of us would want to live in this deck, would we? That's a nice card. But yeah, I think it's a dark and destructive place, this world. Yeah, no, it's not for me. So, that's 3 decks. So the 4th deck that I've got here is the Bosch Tarot, the Hieronymus Bosch Tarot by Travis McKenry. And this is such a cool deck. This is a really good deck. I love this deck. It's not an easy reader because it has its own little thing going on. It's not set out in a traditional way. So it's not an easy reader. I'm fascinated with the artwork. And it actually does read quite intuitively if you don't take any notice of the fact that they've changed. Lots of things, if you just go with the imagery here, it's quite a good intuitive reader. I've read for myself, but I don't know that I could read for anybody else with this deck. But as you can see, this is all based on the Bosch. It's all based on this triptych, isn't it? This artwork, the Garden of Earthly Delights, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. It's a sort of surrealist, dreamlike world, isn't it? And it's just full of scary things. So many monsters, so many creatures, so many awful things going on, like this one, Illumination. You know, these people are hiding in there, and they're hiding in there with good reason. There are some images in this deck that are really quite cute and quite funny and quite sweet. But on the whole, it's full of, because, you know, if we look at this picture here, we can see the Garden of Earthly Delights has got some delightful spaces, but it also has got some real terror. So it's not a place that I want to live. I don't want to be seeing or doing any of this. In the Page of Coins, the Sin of Gluttony. Yeah, the Baron of Books here. What's going on with the pig as a nun? A very thin person there, and a monster giving them gold. I think if you were in this deck, you'd probably want to be one of the monsters. You wouldn't want to be one of the people that the monsters were terrorizing, would you? Look, this weird creature here, look, with this skeletal creature sat on it. All these demons and dragons feasting on this person. This person's been impaled here. That's the Grail Knight. Yes. This gives me those sort of creepy, weird vibes in the same way as the doll-faced deck does of all the little girls with their blank, expressionless faces. It's a similar sort of vibe. The table of plenty. The flower pusher. See, I want nothing to be doing with any of that, really. So yeah, this is the Hieronymus Bosch tarot, and as you can see, when this poor man's having his head cut open. There's really, he's being stolen from, he's been shot in the bum, he's being force-fed things by demons, there's people being cooked in a pot, she's fleeing from something. There's not many reasons why you'd want to be here, not even to visit, is there? You wouldn't even want to visit this world, I don't think. Or if you could, you'd want to be invisible because you wouldn't want anybody to see you and decide to do anything mean to you, I don't think, would you? So there's that one. I'll put the book back. As I said, with all of these decks, many of them are great readers, but they're not worlds you'd want to live in, are they? Okay, I've got 4 decks left. So the next one is the Pensive Path Tarot, and this is probably in my top 10 of tarot decks. I absolutely love this deck. It is a fantastic reader. It's by Rees Maron. And I absolutely love the imagery in this deck. I really do. I think it's a really clever deck. I think she's used some brilliant artwork to represent these cards. But it's a dark place. I mean, look at this, the 3 of Swords, this little baby here. He's clutching this little bird and he's pulling its legs. And we don't know whether this baby knows that it's hurting the bird or whether it's an innocent thing, but it's still tormenting the bird. We've got an autopsy or something going on here. Somebody who's having to work really hard. Somebody who's potentially been run over. It just is bleak, isn't it? This deck is bleak, I think. I hate the sharp stabby swords in this Knight of Swords. It actually makes my body recoil, the thought of these horses being stabbed with these swords. I just can't bear it. So in that way, it's a good deck for reading because it does bring up a lot of emotions in me. It has a visceral effect on me. You know, I have strong opinions about this deck. But it's definitely not a world I would want to live in. As I said, it's a very bleak and dark world. And I think the thing that's interesting about it is that Rees Maron created this deck and published it around the times of the lockdowns. And she said in her videos that this was kind of her response to that, feeling oppressed and trapped and stuck at home and being out of routine, being, you know, not being able to live her life how she wanted to. And you can see that in this deck. It is bleak. It's a dark world. And I really don't like clowns. I just think there's nothing to like about clowns. Clowns are scary. They're creepy. I don't like them. Like, we've had a battle here, haven't we? There's all the skulls. Even in the Page of Cups, even in the sweetness of this little girl carrying this cup of tea here, she looks scared or she looks afraid of something. There's certainly an emotional response on her face there, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but she's not happy. And on the whole, I don't really feel like anybody is happy in this deck. There are a couple of quite beautiful cards. I mean, the Star is a gorgeous one. But on the whole, I know the Lovers is a very sweet card as well. That's beautiful, actually. But on the whole, these people here, even like the Empress and the Emperor here, you can see this little girl, she doesn't want to be here. She doesn't want all the responsibility. He looks sort of overwhelmed with the responsibility of his position also. Then we've got this horrible clown again. I really don't like clowns. She's got a head on a plate. Women fighting in the street. He's drunk. Yeah, it's like she's stealing something. He's just shell-shocked and traumatized. Yeah, it's not a happy deck, is it? It's a fantastic reader. I mean, look at that, look. It evokes strong reactions. It evokes strong feelings in me. I find it a very, very intuitive deck to read. Look, even the Fool in this deck, she's like a reluctant fool. She's not jumping off the cliff. Definitely not. There are a couple of sweet cards in this deck, but on the whole, it's a kind of nightmarish place, isn't it? Yeah. One of my absolute favourite decks, a really, really good reader, but not a world that I would want to live in. No. So there's that one, and we've got 3 left. So the next one is the Surrealist Tarot, and really I've only chosen this just because it's so weird. I just don't think I could live in a world where everything was just so bizarre and so wrong, if you like. But that's surrealism, isn't it? It's things that you would expect to see in one form or version, you end up seeing in a different way, don't you? It's just the purpose of certain things have been altered in these cards and used for different things. So it's just very, very weird. You know, like in the 6 of Pentacles here, it's like sort of some kind of skin or connective tissue is covering, like something is growing over this building here. It's just, I don't like it. I think I very much do not like surrealism as an art form. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It would craze me to live in a world where the purpose of things is not as you would expect. I'm not explaining that very well, am I? Like a cup is not a cup, it's a head here, isn't it, on this person? I'm afraid that's just beyond me. I don't know what that's about. So yeah, for no other reason than it's just too weird and too crazy for me. You know, like people growing up out of the ground like leaves that are going to kind of unfold at some point. It's just, and the same here with birds. She's holding eyes, or she's threading. It's like she's got a thread here, isn't it? I don't know what she's doing. I did make a study of this deck when I first bought it. I did try to get my head around it and find something that I could kind of understand in it, but like, why is there an egg there for the sun? It's even like got like, looks like it's got a little bird head on it as well, so it's like the chicken and the egg. Like, I don't know, it almost doesn't even make me laugh, this deck, in its craziness, because I just find it too weird. I am definitely not a fan of surrealism. And if I'm honest, I don't really know why I've kept this deck particularly, because I'll never read with it and I don't really like looking at it. So perhaps I should rehome it. I'm not sure. Okay, so we've got 2 more decks, and I dislike them both for the same reasons, really. We've got the Hexen 2.0 tarot that I've just bought, and the New Era Elements tarot that I've had for a long time. And I think the reason why I don't want to be in either of these worlds is because there is too much in both of them of the things that I don't like in our own world, the reality of our own world. I have used this deck recently for something, which is why their aces are together. I can't remember what I was using it for, but something. Some of the cards in this deck are fine. Some of them I would have no issues in living in that world, but, well, the thing is, this deck is based on a reality of our world, isn't it? And we're forced to live in that world. We don't really have any choice. But I suppose this deck just forces you to look at the aspects of life that are unsavoury or unpleasant or sad or difficult in some way. Like this 5 of, is that cups? The disappointment, which is that the river has dried up and the fish have died. And like, that's a reality for our world. That's not just a made up image. You know, this domination, that's something that we have to live with in our world. The 3 of Swords, this somebody injecting drugs into themselves, it's real. This awful card here, the 9 of Swords, cruelty. You know, that's a very different image than just looking at somebody having a nightmare in bed, isn't it? But this is real. This vivisection of animals, this animal experimentation for various reasons is a real and awful aspect of our world that we have to live with, that we can't really do anything about. And that is a source of shame and disgust and upset for me. You know, this kind of thing is like shame on you. What are you doing? You know, these images are hard to look at. You know, that these, what are the birds called? The name's gone out of my brain. That these birds would strip this carcass, but it's natural. These birds have to eat. It's one of those things, but there's nothing natural about this one. Torment, is there? I mean, this is just like shame on humanity, isn't it? This is the very worst of humanity. And we can do nothing about it. We know that these things go on. We know that in the sea, that animals get caught up in nets and die. And again, this is a different kind of sadness. You know, the spiders kill and wrap up animals and eat, or little insects and eat them. It's not something very pleasant to think about, but it's the natural order of things. It's the natural way. But much in this deck that is difficult about this deck is the stuff that mankind causes, that men do, that men and women do. That's why I wouldn't want to live in this world, is because there's just too many images in this deck of the things in life that I try really hard not to affect me, not to upset me. I mean, there's a lot to like about this deck and this world. You know, it's diverse, it's multicultural. There's a lot of nice faces of people here. You know, the people in this deck actually look welcoming and friendly. But it shows you the worst of mankind as well, like this oppression, this Ten of Wands. How can we keep such a magnificent creature behind bars? It's just awful. We've got the Tower here with war and civil unrest. You know, scary stuff. So, like the Hexen 2.0, the reason why I wouldn't want to live in this world is because, really, it's showing me too much of the things that I don't want to look at and I don't want to think about in the world, like the Chariot here with this tank mowing down this field with all the black smoke behind it. You know, the Chariot here just rolls on, destroying things. You know, we've got Pfizer here, Botox, CNN, Fox, Facebook, Twitter. None of these things are good, really, are they? And they're many of the things that I try to avoid in life generally, you know. I have difficulties with things like this exploration about space and, you know, rockets going up and things, because I just think, how much money did that cost? Would that not have been better spent helping people? You know? It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. So, yeah. That's why I wouldn't want to live in this world. Even though there are lots of good characters in this card, there's too much here that is real and disturbing and reminds me that human beings are cruel, you know, or some human beings are cruel, and I don't want to live in a world with cruel human beings like this one, the devil. So, yeah. And I think it's a similar thing, really, with this Hexon deck here that I'll show you just briefly. It's kind of all the things in many ways that are wrong with the world or that scare me about the world. You know, that it's people playing God. It's, you know, this brave new world, the one world order. All of these various agencies here that are supposed to be there to protect us and look after us, but actually don't, that spy on us and dictate to us and force us to live in ways that we don't want to, that restrict our free speech, that restrict... Well, they're just organisations that seem to be up to no good, aren't they? You know, with the sort of superficial veneer that they're there to protect us or look after us or for defence in some way, but they're not. They cause trouble. The human use of human beings, cybernetics and society, I mean, that just terrifies me. A one world government terrifies me. Our world is so diverse, it would be ridiculous to have a one world government. It would only work and be profitable for a small amount of people, that kind of world, wouldn't it? There's no way that it would be good for everybody. You know, cybernetics, no. And as much as I'm really grateful that I can sit here and record a video and it can go on YouTube and I can reach people around the world that I would never normally talk to, the the internet and social media is a very scary thing to me. I think that probably overall it causes more harm than good. But it's like anything, isn't it? It's like magic. Magic is a neutral force, really. It depends on the person that's wielding the magic, that's handling the magic, or manifesting the magic. It depends on the goodness of that person, whether that magic is good or bad, doesn't it? And this cybernetics is the science of control and communication in the animal and the machine. And like, I don't ever think that animal and machine should go together. They are different things. The control society, this pyramid, most of us are always going to be at the bottom of this pyramid and have no control or influence on the rest of it. I don't enjoy that I have to live in a world like that. I know that what I'm saying all sounds very negative and very bleak, but that's only because I'm looking at these particular cards. And you know, the first time I looked at this card, I couldn't even work out what the bottom was. I mean, it's World War I, World War II, and the World Wide Web, isn't it? And, you know, that's interesting. The summer of love here and civil rights movements and things like that, flower power. You know, on the surface, that all looks quite benign and innocent and a nice time for people. But I think a lot of that was encouraged, wasn't it, by government agencies. It was almost like a social experiment, and it brought about the contraceptive pill and, well, all sorts of things that may not necessarily have been that healthy for society in the long run. You know, utopia, really not healthy. Communist utopia, gender utopia, capitalist utopia, totalitarian utopia. So I could go on and on and on about these cards. These cards are fascinating to me because I'm interested in a lot of these kind of subjects, and I feel quite strongly about these subjects, but they scare me at the same time, because I think all of this is humanity going in the wrong direction, you know, like just things like, it seems crazy to me that we're trying to conquer getting to Mars and places like that when we don't even know what's in our oceans, do we? You know, there's vast areas of our world that is unexplored. And it just seems crazy to me, really, that waste of money that could be used for so much good for people. You may not agree with me, and that's fine if you don't. They're just merely my opinions and my thoughts about things. But yeah, these are my decks, my worlds that I would really not like to live in. And I would be really, really interested to see yours. It would be great to see what other people think is difficult and disturbing and dark and troublesome to them. So anyway, please do say hello. I'm sorry I've waffled on for like nearly 45 minutes, so feel free to put this video on double speed if that's what you'd like to do. But anyway, thanks for being here, and please do say hello, give me some feedback, and I'd love to see what you feel about this subject. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.